I didn't get to post any videos at all last week because, well, my full-time job involves me covering the Dodgers and they're currently in a playoff push. But I'm back this week and there's a lot of college football to discuss. Today, I'm going to be sharing my top 25 rankings after a crazy weekend of college football. Before we get to today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to the channel. If you love college football content, then this is definitely the place for you. Also, drop a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are on my rankings. It helps the algorithm of the video and helps share it with more college football fans. Alright, so here's my top 25 after this past weekend. Well, we finally have a new number 1 as Georgia slides into the top spot. And at this point, I think we can all agree they're the consensus best team in the country. What the Bulldogs have been doing has been incredible, and their defense looks like one of the best we've seen in recent memory. It doesn't matter who they play, they're winning with ease. They beat Auburn by 24 points, and the Tigers never really stood a shot. At this point in the season, it's safe to say that Georgia is the team to beat in college football. Moving up to number 2 are the Iowa Hawkeyes. They had an impressive come-from-behind victory at home against Penn State. Now, I do think that they were handed the victory as Penn State's backup quarterback might have had one of the worst performances I've ever seen, but the Hawkeyes still have quite the resume this season. The Nittany Lions were a good team, and Iowa had an amazing come-from-behind victory. Their defense continues to be fantastic as they forced 4 turnovers and really dominated and controlled the entire second half. For Iowa, the only thing that concerns me is their offense. Frankly, it's just not that good. Their defense is going to be what keeps them in games, but I'm not exactly sure how far they can truly go with an average at best offense. I have Cincinnati moving up all the way to number 3. After a huge win last week at Notre Dame, I thought there'd be a chance they'd have a hangover this week and struggle, but I was wrong as they won by 49 points. This is a damn good team, and it looks like they'll be able to run the table the rest of the season. If the Bearcats finish the season undefeated, and I've said this all season, there is zero reason why they should be left out of the playoff. Up at number 4, I have Ohio State, who has looked like a completely different team since their loss to Oregon. After falling to the Ducks, the Buckeyes have scored 41, 59, 52, and 66 points in their last 4 games. I know Rutgers and Maryland aren't powerhouses, but they're decent teams in the Big Ten this year, and the Buckeyes took them down with ease, especially Maryland yesterday. CJ Stroud has really turned a corner these last few games, and Travion Henderson is one of the best running backs in the entire nation. Not to mention, this Ohio State defense has been playing lights out as well. Number 5 is where I have Alabama falling. Let's pump the brakes on them falling to an unranked team because this Texas A&M team is pretty good. Plus, Alabama shot themselves in the foot with this game, especially Bryce Young. He had 2 costly turnovers in the game that ultimately hurt the Tide. A&M played a hell of a game, and I'll give them credit, but Alabama had their worst all-around game in years, and they still lost by a game-winning field goal. I think they'll be just fine. Number 6 is where I have Penn State, but it's all dependent on the health of Sean Clifford. With him at quarterback, I think Penn State is definitely a top 7 or 8 team, and they easily get the win over Iowa. But he got hurt, and Taquan Roberson came in and played one of the worst games at quarterback I've seen in some years. The dude straight up cost Penn State the game. He was awful, and he couldn't even move the ball at all. If Sean Clifford is back and healthy, I have no worries with Penn State. But if he misses significant time, I think the Nittany Lions are in trouble. I have Michigan State climbing up to number 7 this week. They dominated Rutgers as they beat them by 18 points. Peyton Thorne threw for 350 yards with 3 touchdowns, and Kenneth Walker rushed for 230 yards. With the exception of their 3-point victory over a very good Nebraska team, the Spartans have won every game this season by at least 17 points. They're one of the best teams in all of college football. We're going to have some really good Big Ten matchups later this season. Speaking of the Big Ten, I got the Michigan Wolverines coming in at number 8, who, just like Michigan State, picked up a 3-point victory against Nebraska. I don't care what the Cornhuskers' record is, they're a really good team, and their record doesn't do them justice. The Wolverines had no answer in the third quarter, but they looked fantastic the other 3 quarters. Their rushing game continues to be amazing as they rush for over 200 yards with 3 rushing touchdowns. Just like with what I said about the Spartans, the Wolverines are going to be a legitimate threat in the Big Ten this season. The Oregon Ducks come in at number 9 as they were on a bye this week. However, they lost some key players for the rest of the season, so they could potentially be in some trouble moving forward. Number 10 is where I have Oklahoma coming in. I get that they had an insane come-from-behind victory over Texas, but I still can't believe how this Sooners team is getting by on a week-to-week basis. They're still undefeated, so I'll give them that, but they've yet to have a convincing and dominating win this season. Caleb Williams looked fantastic when he came in, and the Sooners wouldn't have won the game without him. But if you watch this game from beginning to end, Texas blew this one. Their offense forgot how to play football, and their defense also forgot how to play football. If Caleb Williams is the starter moving forward, maybe we can finally see what this Oklahoma team should be capable of doing. With all the chaos going on in the SEC, Kentucky is quietly one of the 2 unbeaten teams in the entire conference, and I got them at number 11. After a huge upset over Florida last week, they dominated LSU, beating them by 21 points. Will Levis was amazing as he had 5 total touchdowns for the game. Chris Rodriguez had the other touchdown as he also rushed for 150 yards. The Wildcats will play Georgia next week, and that's going to be a great test to see just how legit this Kentucky team is. I got Ole Miss climbing up to number 12 after their thrilling win over Arkansas at home. The Razorbacks are a good team, and the Rebels went toe-to-toe with them. I think that Ole Miss could have hung around with Alabama last week, but all those turnovers on 4th down is what really swung the game. I firmly believe Ole Miss is a top 15 team in the country, and they're going to have a chance to prove it the rest of the season. Matt Corral had yet another amazing game, as he had 4 total touchdowns and nearly 400 yards on the day. The offense is going to be what keeps them alive every game moving forward, and I think there's a solid chance that this Ole Miss team can still win out. Coming in at number 13 is where I have Coastal Carolina. They took care of business again as they defeated Arkansas State by 32 points. Grayson McCall threw for just under 400 yards with 4 touchdown passes. As a team, the Chanticleers rushed for 300 yards and had 3 rushing touchdowns. I know people are going to criticize who they play every week, but they're dismantling every team they play, and that's all you can ask for. I got the Irish coming in at number 14, and this one wasn't pretty, but Notre Dame picked up the win on the road at Virginia Tech. I just don't know what to make of this Irish team. I'm not sure what they're going to do at quarterback moving forward, and with how many close games they've had, I'm just not certain as to how good of a team they truly are. For now, I still have them in my top 15, but it seems like they're a team that needs to be on upset watch every week. Oklahoma State was on a bye this week, and I got them at number 15. Moving up to number 16 is Arizona State, who honestly could be a borderline playoff team had they not blown it a few weeks back against BYU. With how things are currently looking in the Pac-12, the Devils might be the best team in the conference at this point. After Stanford took down Oregon last week, the Sun Devils took down Stanford easily 28-10. It was ASU's best all-around game all season, and they've looked fantastic ever since their loss to the Cougars. It's too late to make any sort of playoff push, but don't be surprised to see the Sun Devils climbing up the rankings every week. At number 17 is Wake Forest, who is somehow still undefeated. They had a close one this weekend at Syracuse as they beat them in overtime, but they still pulled out the victory and are the only undefeated team left in the ACC. Sam Hartman threw for over 300 yards with 3 touchdowns and was the main reason the Demon Deacons came back and won this game. I'm not sure how legit this Wake Forest team truly is, but hey, it's fun watching them ride this momentum. Coming in at number 18 is where I have Texas A&M. I still can't believe they pulled off the upset over Alabama, but what a game it was for them. Zach Calzada had the best game of his life as he threw for 300 yards with 3 touchdowns. Although their defense allowed 38 points, they were containing Alabama's offense all night and were really disrupting Bryce Young. I thought the defense did a phenomenal job. Had they not lost last week to Mississippi State, A&M would likely be a borderline top 10 team. This is a really good team who, for whatever reason, struggled in back-to-back weeks, but I think this win is going to completely turn around the rest of their season. Florida comes in at number 19 this week, and they took care of Vanderbilt, beating them by 42 points. Emory Jones had 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, and the Gators defense completely shut down the Commodores, which really isn't that difficult to do. It was a great scrimmage victory from Florida. NC State was off this week, and I got them ranked at number 20. BYU slides all the way to 21. They were a team I thought that could potentially win out and make some noise for the college football playoff, but man did they blow it against Boise State. BYU was up by 10 points after only 9 minutes of the game, and it looked like they were going to blow out the Broncos, but they were outscored by 19 points the rest of the game. BYU had 4 costly turnovers, which ultimately is what decided the game. Credit to Boise State for going in there and stealing the victory, but BYU sure gave this one away. I have Arkansas sliding down to number 22 after their loss to Ole Miss. They were a 2-point conversion away from winning the game, so they could have been a top 15 team with the victory. KJ Jefferson was unreal for the Razorbacks as he had 6 total touchdowns and 400 yards of offense. Those numbers should win you a game about 95% of the time. But this was the 5% in which his defense allowed more than 50 points and was awful. I still think this is an impressive Arkansas team who's going to continue to be a threat in the SEC this season. Coming in at number 23 is SMU, who just continues to win football games. They took down Navy on the road and are now 6-0 on the season. Tanner Mordecai had a quiet game by his standards as he threw only 2 touchdown passes, but still had over 300 yards. SMU is one of a handful of undefeated teams left in the country, and they're probably the biggest threat to Cincinnati for their playoff push later this season. Up at number 24 is Baylor, who pounded West Virginia 45-20. After a loss to Oklahoma State, the Bears answered back with a huge victory. Gary Bohannon had a monster day as he had 350 yards and 5 touchdowns on the afternoon. This is a sneaky good Baylor Bears team who is right in the hunt for the Big 12 title game. Wrapping up our rankings, at number 25 is another undefeated team, San Diego State, who won by 24 points. The Aztecs are looking like the best team in the Mountain West this season and the team to beat. However, circle their matchup against Nevada in November because that's going to be a damn good game featuring the 2 best teams in the conference. Well, there's my updated top 25 poll. Drop a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts were on my rankings. Was there a team I had ranked too high, or a team I had ranked too low, or a team I didn't even have in my top 25? Let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to the channel. I'm posting college football videos all season long, so if you're a college football fan, this is definitely the place for you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.